I'll do a quick welcome in just a second, everybody, but welcome to the June 2024 MRI event, the Message Review Index that we do here twice a year for On Point. I want to draw everyone's attention to the chat so that you can grab the link. The first thing I put in the chat today was a link to a worksheet for you to fill out today. Please do not write in that link. Make a copy of your own so that you have it to store on your computer. You can bring it into a session that you already have on the calendar with me. If you're a client, you can bring it to a follow-up phone call we might have together if you are not yet a client. So go ahead and grab that in the chat and we will kick ourselves off here. This is going to be an interactive session. Does everybody see it? Is it working properly?
No.
Someone, let's see. Let me find it, Fred. I think I heard it. No. Link. Here it comes. Chat. Boom. That should take you there. And I'm going to have a few folks who are not muted mute, and then I hear a little bit of an echo. So we'll do that. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Let's get to it. I'm going to open my screen here, get us going right away. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our MRI event. And it is time for you to all take a deep breath and focus your attention on yourselves. Focus your attention on your messaging for your company, for your clients, for whatever you came here to bring together today. Our MRI event is one of our favorites in the surveys we get back. It stands for Message Review Index. And I am going to help you through this all the way from the beginning to the end. And I'm not teaching today, not really teaching a lot today or training, mostly providing a space for you. I started this for all of our On Point clients. They received the recording if they're not here today, but it's really a thank you to our clients and the people who are in our orbit, and providing a chance for all of you to sit back and think deeper and harder about the messaging that you're putting out into the world and where you're winning and where you're not all the way winning yet. So I have had graduation on my mind for the last month or so. And the reason is I have attended 3 graduations in 30 days. 2 are my nephew, and this is my amazing daughter, Hannah, who just graduated from high school and is now off to bigger and better things. But when you think about a graduation day, in fact, I know several people in this call who also have some graduated children recently. Graduation is a precipice, right? We stand on a precipice at any of the graduations that any of us have participated in, and it's the bridge from the past to the future. It's a time to mark, celebrate, and enjoy life's moments with people we love, and to recognize our accomplishments and set new goals. And I thought it was relevant for today because that's what we do today. In today's session, an MRI is a look backwards at the last 6 months of your messaging, starting with January 1st, 2024. And then we take a look forward and we make some plans for the remainder of your 2024, looking at Q3 and Q4. So while graduation is not maybe what we are doing today, this is what's been on my brain and kind of helps guide our time together today. So I want you in the chat today using your fingers, and we're going to start right now. Please drop in the chat one of these letters to identify how you know us at On Point. Are you a member of a large team from Google or DuPont or DECRA or others that have come aboard? Are you the number one because you're in a one-on-one MMI with us or a one-on-one on-point acceleration engagement with us? Are you one of our strategic partners who provides referrals to us? Are you a guest or are you a lurker? I know there's a couple lurkers here, so let's see who we've got. Let's see who we've got. Yep. Fred, I would call that a lurker, but it's fine. You can put MBA. That's okay. Team, guest, one. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, Sarah, you qualify as a number one because even though you're not with us at the moment, that's right. Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Thank you, Fred. Correction. Yes, Tim. I suppose you can be an L and a T. That works for me. Yes, Uwe, you are a guest as well. Awesome. Well, this is where it gets to be fun. We're starting right away. Grab your pen, grab your paper. I'm going to give you 45 seconds for each question. So we've got about 10 questions from the beginning of the hour to the end. And I'll do a little bit of chatter in between as far as how to familiarize those of you with us who are not yet familiar. But we're gonna hit it right away. I want you to think for 45 seconds about your 2024 so far. And I want you to drop in the chat and in your sheet one word that describes your year so far. I have my little timer here, and we will get us started. What do we got? Big learning. Whirlwind. Yes, Tim, I would agree. Possibility. Healing. Great. Focused. Stressful. Growth. Difficult rebirth. I would agree with that too, Uwe. And change. Ambiguity. Yes. Yes, Janara. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Okay. Fantastic. Well, just to give you a quick peek at a lot of the sides of the house that we work on here at On Point, we kind of balance two big plates. One is our one-on-one plate and one is our team plate. And that's what you all dropped into the chat, kind of which part of the house On Point you're from. But this is just a way for us to celebrate all the people we've been able to help, all the presentations we've been able to polish, all the founders we've been able to help get funding, and we just couldn't love what we do more. I've started demanding jazz hands photos, and people oblige, as you wouldn't believe, and it brings a lot of excitement to my day and to my life to work with people as wonderful as all of you. Okay, so what we're doing today, again, just reflection time. Put your other stuff away. Try to turn off your dinging phones. Give me another 41 minutes with you, and we will get you some goals by the end of our time together. Okay, now we're getting into the questions. We got 4 or 5 in a row here, and I want you to think about this, and you're allowed to use your other tab to check your computer calendars, okay? So we're gonna step way back to the beginning of the year. And we're gonna go back to January, and we're gonna look at January 1st, whatever the first Monday of the year is. Where were you? Go open your January calendars. Where were you physically the first week of January? Who were your clients or audiences or stakeholders? Put yourself back in that place for a second. What were the messages that you were in the middle of working on? Think about those goals. And then we're doing fill in the blanks. So all of these questions, we've got the question at the top of the slide, and your homework fill in the blank is the bottom of the slide. So we want you to fill in the blank. In January, I was working on blank project or initiative or fundraising or whatever, and I was aiming for this. So you have 45 seconds. Welcome, Kristen. Glad to see you.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, Christine. Glad to see you too. Yes, so this is your task. You have 40 seconds left. Drop it in the chat. In January, you were working on X and aiming for Y. What was it? Start popping that in the chat. Let's see what we've got. Christine says, I was working on people strategy and I was aiming for better employee development to match the firm growth. Yes, you were. That went well. I'm pleased. Tim, working on organizing our team for a 20K attendee conference. Yep. Closing the year end. Yes, Sarah, we were working on that. We're working on some story for you. Marcy, working on a big pivot. Oh, Marcy, yes. We're going to have you come up in a minute and share a little bit in a few minutes. Yep. Negotiating for more funding. Solopreneurs talking about their own businesses. January, working on a CDAP plan deliveries, aiming for maximizing revenue. Paula, pop up. Tell us what that acronym is.
That's it was a Canadian grant program that was funding strategic services for small, medium enterprise businesses and digital adoption. So I
Okay.
had a stack of them.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. I can't wait to hear the end of that story. Awesome. Okay. Good, good, good. One down. Here we go. Next up. Okay. Those of you who are part of our On Point orbit, you know what we mean when we say zone of brilliance. So this is a strengths and weaknesses slide. And my question to you, and I'll add a little bit of this in a second to what this means, but what strength in your zone of brilliance did you rely on the most for the last 6 months? So your zone of brilliance, quick 1-2 punch on the zone of brilliance, is that is the work that you do in your role that you were born to do. It's the skills and tasks that you feel you were put on this earth to do in a way that only you can do, that you are magically gifted at. What kinds of strengths and skills inside of that zone of brilliance were you leaning on flexing? Okay, so zone of brilliance is different from your zone of excellence or your zone of competence or your zone of incompetence. It's the best skills you have in your tool bag. Which ones were you relying the most on? And at the bottom, we've got to fill in the blank. One strength that helped me rise above was blank. And let's drop something in that didn't go quite as well. Maybe it's a meeting or an event. What did not go well? Fred's working on presentations. So well, you're in the right place, Fred. Although I've seen you present, so I have curiosities about that answer because you are a rock star presenter. You tell great stories too. You should drop your link in the chat. What else? Okay, Christine, that's great reflection. Motivating and optimizing people. What did not go well was moving as quickly as you needed to, right? Yes, humor. Last minute audit, finding people were stressed out, strengths, communication, things that didn't go well, motivating others. Okay, good. Oh, they canceled the program, Paula. Geez, that's a rough one for sure. Good. Okay, active listening for Kevin, direct outreach. Fantastic. If this was hard for you, don't worry. Zones of Brilliance that's one of the early parts of the programming that we work on with teams and one-on-one folks. And it takes us a solid 2 sessions to go through and identify your zone of brilliance and then be able to give it voice. But the zone of brilliance and the Passion Piece project that we help people do, it's one of the most favorite exercises in our programming. And it's ultimately an encyclopedia of you. Our zone of brilliance, Marcy, do you want to pop in and share just a small tidbit of your experience going through that? You wrote such a great one right off the bat. Do you want to give a little light to that?
Sure. It actually really flowed for me. I was able to think about situations where I feel like I'm in flow, where everything is clicking, where it feels easy and it feels like a part of who I am, and then write a sentence for each of the aspects of that I love. Like, why do
Mhm.
I love doing the work that I do, or
Yeah.
why do I love working in my purpose? And it was a really neat piece that I shared widely with colleagues. I put it on LinkedIn, and really a neat exercise. Super, super helpful.
Marcy, I would love if you would drop your LinkedIn post with that in the chat. That would be awesome. And Tim Smaha, do you want to share a thought about the passion piece? Yours was really great too.
Um, I thought you were going to ask for my LinkedIn, and I was like, I don't have one. So,
Well, we can work on that another day.
yeah, well, no, actually, right now I'm getting barked at. So,
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. You can go back to muting. So Tim's part of the Dechra Pharmaceuticals team, and we did a whole passion piece project with 35-ish of their team members. And the passion piece everything starts with I love. Every sentence starts with I love. And it really forces you to go to the core of what you love. So for me, those of you who don't know me well enough yet, I love diving inside of messages, right? That's my jam. I'm like a message engineer. And when I get into a message and a messenger, I'm looking for ways to keep those gears flowing smoothly and find the ones that are stuck. Usually people have stuck gears in confidence or storytelling and not going too much into the weeds in presentations. So that's a quick clip of what I love to do. Okay, next question. What was your biggest challenge since January 1st? What has been the biggest messaging related challenge since January? Maybe it's a person you didn't message well to. Okay, that's why I have 3 pieces here. Maybe it was a person who got the wrong message from you in your orbit and misunderstood, and you wished you could do it again. Maybe it was an event or a presentation that you bombed or didn't prepare for. Maybe it was a thing like a skill that you just really need to work on across the board, like reducing your filler words. What has been your biggest messaging related challenge? Thanks, Marcy, for dropping that in the chat. 30 seconds. This one, I'm guessing, is going to be easy. I could be wrong. Yeah, for sure, Janara. Multiple types of stakeholders, multiple interests. How do you hit them with one message? Yep. Christine, I know what that's about for sure. Presentation that did not go well with a prospect. Lost my mojo. Anybody ever lost their mojo before? I know I have. Absolutely. Communicating on a new project. Yeah, when you don't have all the answers yet, what are you supposed to do? Here we are supposed to be these experts and know all the things and have all the answers. And sometimes we just don't. Yes, Tim, that's perfect. I think everyone here who works on teams and everyone that we've helped on teams this year would say the same is true for them. How do you get everybody on board to see your vision and incorporate it with theirs? Janara, you're working on that same thing just last hour. Yep. Why should people consult and sign up to work with you, Uwe? Yep, for sure, for sure. Okay. Keep those coming. Keep jotting those in your sheets. Let's do our next question. Let's shift gears. Okay, let's go with what your biggest win was. What was your biggest messaging win since January 1st? And then I want you to think about why. Why was it such a win? What did it do for you? What did it do for your brand? What did it do for your personal brand? What did it do for your confidence? So fill in the blanks on that one. We'll see if this little music playing will work. We'll just do a countdown. Nice, Kevin. Oh, thanks, Tim. That's really nice. Absolutely. Yes. Uwe, I would totally agree with that for sure. Kevin, I would love to hear more about your LinkedIn wins. I think that's an interesting one. Would you pipe in and share a little about that? He's thinking.
It's easier for me to talk about it than to type it,
Sure.
but I mean, if that's welcome.
It is, absolutely.
Thanks. So, I'm a beginning professional coach. I've been coaching for 10 years, but actually hanging the shingle and getting serious about it.
Mhm.
And coming from education in the arts, as I have for decades, learning the whole business world, and really displaying my I hope cheerful, open ignorance about that, and learning what I could and still learning what I can, and just seeing how it all goes. So I guess that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
showing up. I was fearful of that kind of really broad exposure over which I had limited control.
Hmm. Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
what I have to say about that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's helpful. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sarah Smith, where are you? I would love to see your win. And I also know, oh, that's an excellent win. Huge clapping for you. I'm thinking of your messaging win. Do you want to share it or should I? I want you to share it.
My messaging?
Yeah.
Oh, just that I got named one of the top 100 insurance execs.
Yeah.
And that was a really big deal. And it was a big confidence booster for me.
That's huge. What
Yeah.
does that allow you to, where do you feel more confident? In certain areas, in every area? What's that done for you?
Yeah, I think just validation that I do know what I'm talking about sometimes, and that it's just not all fodder. And I'm not faking it till I make it. That I actually do have some skills in there. So it just helpful when I'm coming up with what I'm going to say in my pitch, because I feel like I have a solid base to rely on, if that makes sense.
Yes. Sarah's the CFO at Alps Insurance, and she was part of our MMI program for quite a while. And Sarah, the other win I'm thinking about is that storyline that we built for board of directors that you addressed. Do you want to speak to some of the fun parts of that?
Yeah. And some of you might find this really familiar, but Cindy talked a lot about storyline, and I just, my initial thoughts were that's really hokey. I don't know that I want to do that and put a story together, but I trusted her and I trusted the process, and it went great. It was a super well-received pitch, and I even hear about it to this day. We just had our board in town a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about it. So really glad I went through that process.
Oh, that's great to hear, Sarah. I didn't know that update. And what we did, just quick for everybody else who's just getting to know this, we took her CFO presentation, which was all numbers, right? I mean, just one slide after another of data and numbers, which was the point, right, of the entire hour. Her update to the board was supposed to be all the finance stuff. And we bookended it with a story. And it was a personal story of Sarah's about bike packing, and she related bike packing and a specific journey that she went on. She related that journey to the journey the company had gone on during the last 6 months or so, and how they were both similar. And she lined up some inspiring words and some motivation and shared some of her personal self. And we got that storyline, everybody, right out of the passion piece, right out of when I think, okay, what's the story we need to look at for you for this presentation you have? I say, let's go back to your passion piece. Let's look at what you're amazing at and what you're passionate about. And let's go find a word or a phrase or an idea, and let's build it around that. And that's exactly what we did. And it was a win. So thanks, Tim. Oh, yeah, Tim dropped his passion piece in the chat, so you can take a look at that. Fantastic. Okay, moving right along. This might be the last one for the past 6 months. What was the biggest piece of unfinished business since January 1st? And I'm going to lean toward the messaging part of the house, right? Because that's what we do here at On Point. We help you with formal messaging. We help with informal messaging like executive presence and influence in conversations or meetings that you run, in addition to the formal kind of staged or timed presentations. What was your biggest piece of unfinished business? What did you hope or intend to accomplish, but something just got in the way? And that's not because you didn't you did something wrong. It's just that life happens. So when you fill in the blank, think about that barrier. And I'm curious if it can be moved. Maybe it's old business and it doesn't need to be moved, but can you move it? Can you move that barrier? Good insight, Tim. Selling yourself. Yeah, it's not in my nature to sell myself. How many times, if I had $1 for every time I heard someone say something similar to that, Tim, or like Sarah just said, it was validation that I'm actually good at what I do. Right? And you guys all are. You're all absolutely brilliant at what you do. And it just shows how those thoughts inside our brains, they're constantly working, well, they're often working against us and they're impeding our growth. Landing my teamwork piece. Yep. Play to belong with corporations. Awesome. What else? What are some barriers that you've been hitting? I want to see some barriers. Is it cost? Is it money? Is it confidence? Is it just not having a growth mindset the way you want? This is not a chance to tear yourselves down. It's just a chance to identify. We have to look at and name the problem. Managing mindset. Yeah, getting all up in your head for sure. For sure. Fear of failure. We all have that. Absolutely. It's scary out there. And yet, isn't that always the times in our lives when we've learned the most is when we have fallen and failed. I can say that to be true for me for sure. Absolutely. Okay. Imposter syndrome. Yep. Constant fight. 100%. Sales message, lack of cash flow. Yep. Yes. Have to keep a family afloat. It's hard. It's very hard. Fred, do you want to talk a little about imposter syndrome, the way that you see it? I know you have a great viewpoint on that. You want to pop up? You're on mute, my friend.
Sorry.
There you go.
The way I see it, Cindy, is I don't speak just for myself because I know that I encounter this with a lot of my clients. It's something that many of us live with and struggle through, and it is to elevate our thinking through to a higher level of association with when we're dealing with decision makers and C-suite executives and board members. And I mean, I've served as a board member myself, and I have ownership of that capacity. Yet there's always something that pulls me back that I have to struggle through, and I've gotten really good over the last decade or so of pushing through and getting through it. But it pops up. It pops
Yeah.
up from time to time, and
Absolutely.
it's a reality that I have to deal with.
Yeah, we all absolutely do. And that's well said. Thank you, Fred. I'd like us all to help each other for this 1 second. I'm going to ask a follow-up question. Drop in the chat something that you have found works for you to get out of those imposter feelings when they come about. What do you do to get out of your head? What is something that we could all share together here that maybe will light up someone else's brain to try something new? What do you do to get out of your head and back on track? What's an action item, a person you talk to? What do you do? Nice, Sarah. I like to think about my wins. Yep. Christine said the same thing. Remembering successes, rereading positive feedback. I use NVC connection with myself. What is that, Kevin?
Unmuting, nonviolent communication.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Fantastic. No, that's good. Present moment awareness, Marcy. Yeah, Marcy's a psychologist, so we should all listen to whatever Marcy drops in the chat. Do I see here and what do I feel in the moment? Yeah, 100%. Is this true? Should I pay attention to this, right? What are some things that I might be overthinking? Absolutely. We started doing a new exercise in our onboarding for new clients called the inner circle exercise. And some of you have done it here who are in the room. And it's ultimately an assignment that I give within the first few weeks of coming into our one-on-one programs. And I say, I give you a few sentences to email out to 10 people. And you choose 5 people who are professional circles for you, or in your professional circle who you trust, who care about you, who love on you, and 5 people in your personal orbit, right? And we put that list together, and I ask you to go out to them with that email to get feedback about you. And my questions are specific to, you know, you would ask someone who loves you, what do I do when I'm the most alive? What do you think I am particularly good at doing in my work or in my life? And you get like droves of positive feedback from people who know you and love you. And that's exactly what you can use to go back to when you're feeling down and out about yourself. But it also has shown us, that's actually how Sarah Smith found that everybody noticed how much she loves to travel. And there were some themes that emerged from her inner circle that just bolstered her opinion of herself and boosted her confidence. So fantastic. Okay, let's move on. Now we're back. We're going to do a transition point here and talk about the future. So we've cataloged the past. We've looked at wins. We've looked at losses. We've looked at goals and calendars. Let's think ahead and go forward into 2024. See you later, Christine. No worries. Emergency calls happen. I get it. Okay, the messaging moment that is coming. What is the messaging moment that is coming for you? What do you hope by New Year's Eve? What do you hope your biggest messaging triumph will be by December 31st? What are you working on? What do you have going on? Drop it in the chat. Is it a pitch deck? Is it a fundraising? Is it alignment conversations? Getting a job? Getting more clientele? Hitting a number? You don't have to put the number in there, but you can say, I want to hit my sales goals, which are 2x last year, or whatever it is. What is your goal that is going to require some messaging that you want to hit by the end of the year? Nice, Tim. Love that. Nailing it with a revised sales messaging. Yep, Paula, for sure. Solid, clear offering as a transformational coach, for sure. Yes, Marcy, you're on your way. It's so exciting. Keep on adding to that client list. Sales numbers are going to be disappointing, so we got to deliver bad news. Okay, Sarah, you remember that video, right? There's a video tip. The news from France is bad, right? We got to go back to Winston Churchill and some value-based language and hitting people in between the eyes. That's at the YouTube channel if you need a refresher on that. Successfully position myself as venture capital and raise first fund. Yep. Nice work. Fantastic. Okay, now you've got your goal. Let's talk about a little bit more. Oh, venture capitalist. Yes. Love it. Right. Move, that's a big one for sure. What advice, if you could be, if you could come out of yourself and face yourself across the table today, what advice would you give yourself so that you could stay on track? And it has to be nice, like positive, not, constructive and uplifting. What is good advice, positive advice you would give yourself to stay on track this year? Some advice. What should you do more of, or be open to? These are conversations we have to have with ourselves every now and again. Yes, giving yourself grace. Yeah, Tim. Boom. Put that on a sticky note in front of your face, on top of your computer, and believe it. Yeah, it reminds me of the session that we did for the big team, Tim, about giving and receiving feedback, right? We did a session this year for several teams on giving and receiving feedback. And the main message we had to start with was, well, hey, before we talk about giving and receiving feedback, which implies 2 people, before we can even talk about goals for doing that, we got to start with you and me. And how are you at giving feedback to you? How am I at giving feedback to me? And the answer is often, ooh, the facial expression is usually like, not great, right? So how are we supposed to give feedback and be a good leader, a good guide to our teammates, to our customers, to others in our organization if we're not being kind to ourselves? And so we have to remember that we get to be included in that giving and receiving feedback model. Yeah, these are great answers. Take ownership of the past. You know, believe in those accomplishments and the goals that you have done. Marcy, talk for a second about one of the wins you had this year, the one with the 7 for 7, the calls that all went smashing. How did that help boost your reframe for the future work that was coming? And can you give a small tidbit about what we did for that? Do you mind popping up?
Yeah, sure. With regard to this taking ownership for your accomplishments, I was going to say that in psychology, we know that that's really hard for people to do. We have a perspective that really scans for the negative, and it's very hard for us to acknowledge. We notice our mistakes really readily, and we focus on those, and we have a very hard time noticing our wins. Versus if you had an objective observer standing right by you, they'd do a much better job evaluating that. So it's something we need to work on. With regard to the messaging win this year, Cindy and I worked on a storyline for my slide 2 for my pitch and demo. So this is a corporate pitch, not a funding pitch. And we wanted to tell it in a story, and we were thinking about what would be the use case, what would be the situation where this person would need what we have. And we created a story about a guy named Kevin who has the exact problem that we're working on. Is your name Kevin? It is. Hi, Kevin.
How are you, Kevin? You're in the story.
And so Kevin jumps out of a meeting and notices that he has a call on his phone from the school about his daughter having a meltdown. And he's trying to figure out what to do because he doesn't know how to help his daughter. She's the most important thing in his life. And yet he also really needs to be in that meeting and needs to present today. So we set it up that way. And then we talk about how my tool that we've created as a team really solves this problem. And what happened was every single person that heard that story said, well, everybody can relate to this. Everybody gets it. It's obvious. And we didn't have all the confused looks and questions and just like, wait, so what is it? I don't understand. Everybody came back to like, oh, well, obviously everybody's been in Kevin's shoes before. Everybody knows what that feels like. And so it just really changed the conversation, and it really enabled it to be relatable, friendly, something people could feel into what I was saying.
Yeah, thanks, Marcy. And actually, Janara, I think she's probably left by now, but she's working on a storyline right now too. And that person's name, you know, for you, for you, Marcy, that name Kevin kept coming up the whole call, right? It's like, well, we're going to talk about Kevin, and they were using Kevin's name. And that's the power of story. That's the power of the how-to model that we've built, which is how Marcy went in and built that story by using our structure that I created, the how-to model, to help people avoid those confusing parts.
Yeah, I think what was really apparent in it is that there wasn't any confusion. It was easy to understand. And I think sometimes that's what story does, where I might not know all the stuff about your app. I might not know all the stuff you're trying to offer me. I don't understand how your business model works, but I can relate to this guy, Kevin. And so everybody keeps coming back to this and saying, oh, I've been there. I know that thing. I know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And so it's a point where they become the expert versus you trying to tell a bunch of facts. They're like, oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And you create what Aristotle would call, you create that identification, and that's the power. Story is 22 times more powerful than a data point. And that's the power of story. Thanks, Marcy. Thanks so much. Okay, moving on. Couple more questions. What is a major effort that all of you need to put into action so that you can make big strides with your messaging? What is something that you need to put into action that's going to lead to traction? Is it a campaign? Is it a skill set? What do you need to do to get to that goal on December 31st? It's like, man, I really have got to stop doing this, and it's time for me to blank. I have got to do blank. Mm-hmm. Just take 15 seconds. Think about that. Yep. Consistency is key. I'm seeing that in both of your answers, Paula and Kevin, that building that habit, going to the gym, right, on a daily or 3 times a week basis. And I mean, goodness, we all struggle with that. I certainly have parts of our business that I want to be more consistent in, and everybody's got stuff to work on. Yes, plan ahead, Sarah. Yes. Give yourself time to think big picture. Yes. How can we expect to have grandiose visionary ideas in 30 minutes or less before the meeting starts, right? Yeah, get scrappy with revenue. Yes, yes, yes. Ignore shiny objects and squirrels. Yes, I would add. Good, good, good. Excellent, excellent. Okay. This is an important one, and it has a lot to do with mindset. And I usually ask clients in calls after we've had a big win, how are you going to celebrate with this messaging win? I had a woman just a few weeks ago do something that scared the living daylights out of her before she did that. She got on a huge stage in a big conference room in Arizona, delivered a 10-minute presentation to everyone in her company. She is the general counsel for this now newly public company. And she is brilliant. And the imposter syndrome was real and it was thick. And she did a wonderful job by the end of it all. She was even sending me pictures of what she should wear the night before. It was just, we went to every detail. We rehearsed like mad. We got her going. And the rehearsal tools that we use, some AI stuff. We've begun to use some AI here at On Point, helping people really understand where their misses are, where their missteps are. And she went out and celebrated and sent me a picture of her with one of her friends toasting to that win. And she didn't feel like it. I want to tell you that. Like, she was like mad at me for making her send me that picture. And I made her anyway, because, we just really need to remember that we get to celebrate ourselves. We celebrate other people. Why don't we celebrate ourselves? So what are you going to do? It can be something small or it could be something big. Buy a car, go get a coffee. Like, it could be anywhere in between. What are you going to do? I've done things as small as getting a manicure and as big as taking my family to Europe. So it really does vary. Yep. Go on vacation, get an electric car, boom. Try on some new things that you've been saving for. And it doesn't even have to be money. It can be other things too. But yeah, have a big party once we land those clients. Awesome. You can even just call someone like me and tell me about your wins and give voice to it, and don't hold back. Awesome. Uwe, that would be a great thing, given some of the goals and barriers that you mentioned earlier. Love that. Okay. How do you hope that you have grown by the end of the year? I hope that I am more X, Y, Z. So at On Point, one of the other things we talk a lot about is moving from you 1.0 to you 2.0, right? Kind of like a phone version, right? How are we going to move you from 1.0 to 1.1, 1.2, 1.5, 1.8, 2.0? And then we're going to go to 3.0. And then we're going to go to 4.0. Let's just start at 1. How are you going to know when you've arrived at 2.0? How will you walk? How will you talk? What will you be? Who will you be serving when you are the next version? If you're a consultant or a coach, who do you hope are in your clientele? If you're in a company, where do you hope that you'll be? Or whose attention do you want? Who do you hope will notice you? What you say, how you think, what your opinions are. What is that you 2.0? And when you have that, Once you identify the behaviors of the you 2.0, the next thing that we do is we go, okay, fine. That's the you 2.0, Paula, Marcy, Uwe. That's you 2.0. Let's start pulling those behaviors out of the 2.0 person and let's start practicing them. Let's pull them down one at a time and start practicing them. And before you know it, give yourself a few months, be consistent, go to the gym every day, and you will begin to become that you 2.0. And I see it all the time, and it is a beautiful transformation. It really is. These are great answers. Yep. Sarah, you're on your way. Yeah, improving the listening skills is a great thing to notice for sure. Keep those answers coming. Okay, I think this might be, let's see, might have one more after this. What do you hope, what do you most like to change about yourself? What do you want to stop doing? I got to stop this. I got to quit putting attention and time into this bucket of tasks. I've got to hire someone to do this for me. I've got to delegate this task to that person. I've got to stop complaining. I've got to stop. What do you got to stop? Doubting yourself. Yep. Listening unsuccessfully. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally, totally common. There, Kevin. That's a mic drop. Absolutely. It's time to raise your rates, raise your prices. You are worth it. You do things in a way no one else does them, and it is okay to be at an elite level of a price point. Okay, you did it. Don't go anywhere yet. I want to share a couple of updates, but that's our graduation from our MRI questions and the things that we have done. Tell me just a one-word reflection of that exercise. What did you think of the exercise? Did you get something that you didn't expect out of that? What was that like from your perspective to go through it? Just give me a one-word exercise. Nice, Fred. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Look at you guys all bringing the brilliance. A car wash. Yes, I'm in a group and we call it, Paula is in the same group with me. We call it a vigorous tooth cleaning. We get out all the instruments and it's like, we got to get in there and go to the dentist. Yeah, opening up. Thank you guys. Awesome. Well, this is just a quick, we've got one more thought at the end. I've got some free resources here for all of you. And just a refresher for those of you who have either been away for a while or who are new to our orbit. I'm not going to read all this, but this is our team that is growing. I still have someone on here that's not pictured yet. We've got Coach Jana and Coach Jenny, and many of you are already working with one or both of them. They come in and help with our coaching clinics. Rusty is a co-presenter of mine that I have done some work with at Google, and he steps in from time to time. And we are bringing in Lynn Franklin, who's coming aboard to help in other capacities with delivery. And these people bring extreme strengths, extreme zones of brilliance that complement those that we have anchored from the beginning for the first 8 years. We have some new things coming up and that are continuing to be refreshed. This is a way you can come in and get a chat with me. But yeah, access to coaches. We have new programming, like I mentioned earlier. The Inner Circle is a new program or exercise. The Passion Piece has become a favorite. We are also building community by doing coaching clinics. Those are every other Thursday. It's 30 minutes. Anyone in the orbit of On Point clients can come and ask a quick question for advice and get some tangible tips to get on their way in between your one-on-one sessions with us. Udly is this row right here. That's our AI tool, really super powered place for you to go to get artificial intelligence to help you shrink your message, count your fillers, tell you the percentage of eye contact that you have in the screen, and tell you how many words per minute you speak. What is the range and the flow of your voice? It's pretty wicked awesome. We also do on Mondays, our M4, every single Monday, you get an email with a video tip on something that is related to the messaging. And we just started Friday Findings. So Friday Findings are like a mini MRI. Every week, I ask, What have you done this week to help advance your messaging? What is front burner? Are you aware of the skills we talked about in our last coaching session? Are they, or did you completely lose them? And if you lost them, like, it's okay. We just have to be honest about it. But if you do the Friday findings emails every week and you answer them truthfully on those, there's like 4 little tiny questions, takes about 30 seconds to answer them. The point is, we're trying to find on Fridays what our growth was since Monday. And if we can commit to that, that's how you begin to get to that U 2.0. So it's very, very helpful. Crazy thing happened a few months ago, and I know it's blurry, but this QR code does in fact work. We were asked by 8 different people within the course of 26 days if we help provide if we do interview coaching. So we do now. And we have 3 options and 3 tiers. It's not our main meal here at On Point, but if you know someone in career transition, if you need help of interviewing yourself, we have 3 levels of interview coaching that we provide: a silver, a gold, and a platinum. You can even purchase these right at our calendar app. It's right there to buy and schedule. So these are like quick in and out interview coaching sessions that have really helped. We've helped some people find jobs that they did not think were even remotely possible. Helps. Thanks, Fred. We already did our inner circle. We are almost out of time, but this was a fun exercise at Google that we did. Went in a circle to ask, like, what's your aha moment from today? What was special about being here and meeting others? And what is just a comment that you would like to share? So I am going to do the inner circle. I know we've got just a couple more minutes left, but I'm going to start with Tim. I'll see people are hopping because I'm going to ask them to speak. So those are the people who need us the most. All right. Actually, yeah, Tim, go ahead. Share a little bit with us. Tim's Maha. You are the first person in my square. You're muted. Oh, you're waiting on a dog that's barking. I'm going to skip to the next person. Michael Marshak from Otero. Michael. There he is. Almost. All right, get that mute button out, Michael. Let's see if we can figure that out. Uwe, you're up. You're on.
Here we go. Unmute.
There we go.
Works.
Yeah, I can hear you.
My insight. Pretty much everything is really fresh. I'm married since 15 years. Today's my anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
And here I am at work.
Yes, it's okay.
But my wife is basically a lifelong learner in this whole self-help way, because her father taught that to her. And for me, I listened to her since 15 years, and I feel like I still don't really understand her, because I got to get literally out of my shoes and turn around and walk to the other side of the room to change my angle. I am too German. I am too old, too set in my ways. And I recognize that I need to refresh my brain first before I can go forward. And I just have too many things that I had slide over being employed for 3 years.
Yeah.
But I also was self-employed for 20 years, but in a completely different way, just as a service person.
Right.
And now I'm trying to establish something that my entire life's experience and expertise in various industries are valuable, but I have no visible track record to showcase that to people. And to find all those answers while at the same time not making sales, having a hard time keeping the family afloat. One, recognizing that I need the coaching, but not being able to afford it is like sitting between the proverbial rock and a hard place. And it's hard to get out of that hole.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Uwe. Paula, do you have some insights to share from being here today? If you're nearby. 3, 2, 1. I'm going with all the people who went dark on me. Tim Harada, are you there? Tim is not there. Ugo, are you there? Ugo is not there. Okay, Timothy Smaha, are you with the barking dog still? Or Michael, did you figure out your mute button? Sarah?
Yeah, I can go. It's always nice to take a pause in your day and reflect on what's happened and where you're going. And so I just appreciate the time to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Paula, thanks for chiming in. Kevin, any last thoughts before we head out?
Oh, I just appreciate the inclusion, going from lurker to guest to,
Yes.
to being asked to contribute a little bit. So
Yeah,
thanks a ton, Cindy, and thanks everybody.
absolutely. Yeah,
you bet.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, you guys get a couple minutes back from for your day today. I'm going to give you your 3 o'clock hour in total. I really appreciate all of you being here. Thank you for coming. And once I get the next registration link up for December, that's the next time we do this exercise. And you're welcome to come back and bring a guest. And this is how you get a hold of us and find us. And you all know I'm at LinkedIn every day, so you can find me there as well. But my bidding of adieu to you is to get out there, face your fears, get that messaging lined up, come find me. Go find our YouTube channel. There are droves of tips there, hundreds of minutes of free content and tips there that'll help you nudge yourselves in the right direction so that you can get out there and nail it to that 2.0 presenter that you are going to be. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.